I now recognize Mr. Mike Howell for 5 minutes for his opening statement.
Members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify about the role of NGOs, or non-governmental organizations, in facilitating mass illegal immigration. I currently serve as the executive director of the Oversight project and previously was at DHS and on Capitol Hill conducting oversight of immigration matters. The United States of America is still reeling from the worst border invasion in its history. This was an invasion that was planned, promoted, encouraged, funded, and sustained by radical elements of the previous administration. But this invasion could not have been accomplished without a colossal partnership with the NGO community. Simply put, the government just did not have the capacity to get this many people in and around the country without the support of the nonprofits. And to that end, they gave them almost $6 billion to a conglomerate of UN agencies and over 200 NGOs to do just that, according to statistics from the Center for Immigration Studies. The result was that Border Patrol became a daycare. They became Uber drivers just to shuttle illegals to the nonprofits to get them around the country. Now, the Oversight Project has led the way in exposing what I call this border industrial complex. In December of 2022, we did the first of its kind study where we tracked illegal aliens by their cell phones as they went through these nonprofits at the border. In just a 1-month period, in tracking 30,000 devices, so a very small subset of the 10 million that Biden had crossed the border, we found out that the illegals went to nearly every single congressional district in the United States. We proved that every town was indeed a border town. That work informed the House of Representatives to pass H.R. 2, which notably contained a provision defunding the entirety of these NGOs. Now, this was a landmark event. It was controversial even amongst politicians here in DC, because the dirty secret is a lot of politicians have a very cozy relationship with these organizations. In fact, one member went as far to say that that provision in H.R. 2 was unchristian. Well, that's now a common sense principle for immigration policy today, that we do not fund our own invasion. And to that end, DHS pausing all money to these organizations is simply common sense. Now, really quickly on H.R. 2, because there's been a lot of confusion on this point. Some of your colleagues last Congress over in the Senate introduced a bill to undercut H.R. 2 that would have mandated a new normal of illegal boarding crossings at over 5,000 a day. Now, I'm going to quote President Trump here from his State of the Union last week. People kept saying we needed new legislation to secure the border, but it turned out all we needed is a new president. He was right. He is right. In addition, the Oversight Project continues to lead the way in uncovering seedy behavior after behavior at NGOs. In New York, we found illegal aliens getting false residence documents. In Mexico, we found flyers at an illegal alien staging camp encouraging illegals to vote for Biden. In Arizona, we found a former Mexican consulate official at the Southside Worker Center in Tucson advising illegals how to lie to law enforcement and evade ICE. That's against the law. Additionally, we produced documentary evidence of non-citizens admitting on camera to being registered to vote in Georgia, North Carolina, Minnesota, Arizona. So where are all the government investigations? I am begging for someone to please join us. What about the DHS OIG? I see investigation after investigation into the conditions at ICE facilities. Where are the investigations of these nonprofits and the $6 billion that flowed through them? It's time that we start treating the Biden border crisis like the crime scene that it is. Now, this body funded it. I know a lot of members here want nothing to do with it, but the money came from Congress to fund the Biden border invasion. And so this body retains a responsibility and luckily the authority to figure out exactly how that money was spent and where these illegals ended up. And what NGOs, like the ones that helped facilitate the travel of Jose Ibarra, where he ended up killing Lake and Riley, what taxpayer dollars were involved in that? And one thing I want to leave you with, perhaps most importantly, is the left designed a sophisticated infrastructure to get this many people in the country. You all can do the same thing to get them out. I'm encouraging you to look at all available funding streams to help work with people outside the government to educate illegals on how to leave, to help arrange or even pay for their travel home. I call this whole concept homeward bound. People need to go home. It's time for a modernization of the immigration enforcement system writ large. This means we don't need to secure the border for just 2025, but forever. A renaissance in applying technology and scientific advancements. The stovepipe system of various federal agencies holding this data needs to be fixed. This is what Border Czar Tom Homan called for just a few weeks ago. And generally, we should give Tom Homan exactly what he needs to get this job done. And finally, we got to prepare for the cartels to fight back. These people made a lot of money and gained a lot of power during the Biden administration, and they're not going to take this lying down. We need to get ready for when they start launching drones, kinetic attacks, other asymmetrical warfare. They are not going to go quietly in the night. With that, I thank the subcommittee for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to answering all your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Howell.